created quite a controversy by inviting Israeli Prime Minister Netanyahu to speak to a joint session of Congress without telling the White House. Now, everyone from Vice President Biden down to 12 congressional Democrats have said they are not going to attend. Haven't you taken one of the few bipartisan issues in this country, support for Israel, and turned it into a political football?
I have not. The fact is that we had every right to do what we did. I wanted the Prime Minister to come here. There's a serious threat facing the world. And radical Islamic terrorists are not going to go away. The President devoted but a few words to it in his State of the Union address. And then when it comes to the threat of Iran having a nuclear weapon, these are important messages that the Congress needs to hear and the American people need to hear. And I believe that Prime Minister Netanyahu is the perfect person to deliver the message of how serious this threat is.
But when you talked with Ron Dermer about inviting Netanyahu, you told him specifically not to tell the White House. Why would you do that, sir?
Because I wanted to make sure that there was no interference. There's no secret here in Washington about the animosity that this White House has for Prime Minister Netanyahu. I frankly didn't want them getting in the way and quashing what I thought was a real opportunity.
But it has created if not a firestorm, certainly a controversy here. It's created a controversy in Israel, and shouldn't the relationship between the U.S. and Israel be outside of politics?
It's an important message that the American people need to hear. I'm glad that he's coming, and I'm looking forward to what he has to say.
What's the rush? The deadline for a framework agreement with Iran is March 24th, and this week the president said this.
I don't see a further extension being useful if they have not agreed to the basic formulation and the bottom line that the world requires to have confidence that they're not pursuing a nuclear weapon.
I guess the question is, why not put off the Netanyahu speech until you see whether or not there's a framework agreement and basically wait to see how the talks go?
There's bipartisan concern about these discussions with the Iranians. And frankly, we want to hear what the Prime Minister of Israel has to say because what we're trying to do is strengthen the President's hand in these negotiations. There's another round of Iran sanctions that are being discussed on both sides of Capitol Hill in a bipartisan manner.
But the President says he doesn't want those.
I understand he says he doesn't want them. He doesn't quite understand that we're trying to strengthen his hand. And the discussions about the sanctions bill with regard to Iran makes it clear that only these sanctions would go into effect if there was not an agreement.
President Obama is now asking Congress for authorization to fight ISIS. You have said